She sat at the back of the classroom, her hands trembling. A small, folded piece of paper rested on her notebook. On it, she wrote a single word, hungry. No one noticed, or maybe they chose not to. But what happened next would silence the whole class. Maya was a quiet girl, the kind who slipped through the cracks. Her hair fell into her eyes. Hiding the traces of tears she tried to wipe away each morning. She didn't ask for attention, didn't raise her hand too often, and rarely spoke, except when absolutely necessary. But inside, a storm raged. Her stomach ached, gnawing at her with every tick of the clock, reminding her of the breakfast she hadn't eaten and the lunch she might not have today. Her father worked long hours, cleaning streets in the city, and her mother stitched clothes at home for tiny wages. Money was always tight, and sometimes even a simple meal felt like a luxury. Maya had learned to hide her hunger, to smile when asked, to nod along even when her mind was too tired to think. But the emptiness in her belly was impossible to ignore. On that particular morning, the classroom smelled faintly of chalk and paper. Sunlight filtered through the windows, catching dust motes in the air, and the teacher's voice droned about fractions and verbs. Maya tried to concentrate, to fill her notebook with the lessons, but her stomach twisted with hunger. She glanced around at her classmates, their lunch boxes overflowing with sandwiches, fruits, and juice boxes. A pang of longing hit her chest. Finally, she could bear it no longer. Her hand shook as she opened her notebook and, with the smallest trembling letters, wrote, "Hungry." She folded the note carefully and set it on her desk, hoping, though she didn't know what for, that someone might see it. Her heart pounded in embarrassment. She felt exposed, fragile, and invisible all at once. No one noticed, of course. The chatter continued, pencils scribbled, and chairs scraped across the floor. Maya stared at the note, her eyes filling with tears she refused to let fall. She wanted help, but she didn't know how to ask. Hunger was supposed to be private. She had to endure it silently, as she always did. Then, just as she was about to tuck the notebook away, a shadow fell over her desk. It was her teacher, Mrs. Ali, a kind woman with a gentle smile that never seemed forced. She leaned down and whispered softly, "Maya, I saw your note." Maya's heart skipped. The room seemed to quiet around them, though the other students were still laughing and talking. Maya felt a mix of fear and shame. She expected scolding or pity, or maybe nothing at all. But what Mrs. Ali did next would change everything. The day went on, but Maya couldn't shake the heaviness in her chest. She felt ashamed, invisible, and humiliated. Other kids whispered behind her back, some teasing, some just ignoring her. One girl tapped her shoulder and laughed. "Why didn't you eat breakfast? Were you too lazy?" Another boy snickered as he dropped crumbs on the floor near her. A cruel little game meant to highlight her emptiness. Maya tried to hide her face behind her notebook. Her stomach rumbled, a loud, betraying sound that made her cheeks burn. She felt trapped inside her own body, desperate for relief but unable to find it. She wondered why life seemed so unfair, why her classmates had food and laughter while she had only a hollow ache. By the time lunch rolled around, Maya's hope had shrunk to almost nothing. She opened her lunchbox out of habit, though she knew it would be empty. Her hands hovered over the lid, trembling. She stared at the nothing inside and felt tears prick the corners of her eyes. She wanted to disappear, to dissolve into the floor, to be anywhere but here. The other students ate, shared snacks, and joked. The contrast stung. Every bite they took seemed to mock her in silence. Maya felt invisible yet painfully visible, as if her suffering was on display and no one cared enough to stop. She thought about going to the restroom and crying, hiding until the day ended. As she held back tears, she felt a tap on her shoulder. She froze, expecting another whisper, a tease, a "what's wrong with you?" But when she turned, she saw Mrs. Ali standing beside her desk, holding a small, neatly wrapped lunch bag. Her eyes were warm, soft, and full of understanding. "Maya," she said quietly, "I thought you might need this." For a moment, the words didn't register. Maya's stomach knotted, and her lips trembled. She looked around at the classroom, expecting snickers, but all eyes were on her now, curious, stunned, silent. She hesitated, afraid to take it. But Mrs. Ali smiled again, gently placing the bag in front of her. Inside was a sandwich, an apple, and a small carton of milk. The simplest meal, yet to Maya it was a feast. Maya's fingers shook as she unwrapped the sandwich. The scent of fresh bread and warm filling hit her, and for the first time that day, a spark of hope flared in her chest. She looked at Mrs. Ali, who gave her a reassuring nod. "It's okay to ask for help sometimes," she said softly. As Maya took her first bite, the classroom seemed to blur around her. She chewed slowly, savoring every taste, every crumb, feeling warmth spread through her body in a way she hadn't felt for hours. The hunger that had felt like an unyielding weight began to lift. For the first time that morning, she felt seen, not as a problem, not as a burden, but as a child deserving of care. Her classmates whispered, then began to murmur among themselves. One by one, some came forward with small gestures. A piece of fruit, a kind smile, a quiet, "Are you okay?" Maya's fear and shame melted, replaced by a tentative sense of belonging. Mrs. Ali remained nearby, a steady presence, making sure Maya had enough and that the other students understood the lesson without words. Kindness matters, always. Maya finished her meal, her heart swelling with gratitude and relief. She felt lighter, happier, and braver. The simple act of a teacher noticing a silent plea, of acknowledging a child's hidden pain, had transformed the day. Maya understood, in a deep, unshakable way, that even small acts of kindness could break through loneliness, fear, and hunger. From that day forward, Maya carried the memory of that lunch like a light inside her chest. She learned that asking for help wasn't weakness, that the world had people capable of compassion, and that even in the darkest moments, a small gesture could change everything. Sometimes the smallest acts speak the loudest. A single sandwich, a gentle word, a kind glance. These can heal invisible wounds. Maya's story reminds us that noticing someone in need can change their world. Kindness isn't just about giving, it's about seeing. And sometimes, seeing is enough to change a life forever.